I'm the Carolina Weather Group's James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming on with a live stream breaking news update right now. We are just learning of a massive earthquake. This is coming in from the USGS, United States Geological Survey, as a magnitude 8.7 earthquake. So what does that mean when we talk about a magnitude 8.7 earthquake? Well, right off the bat, just to give this some context, we want to let you know that that means it is easily within the top 10 strongest earthquakes of all time. If you take a look at this here from, once again, the USGS, the United States Geological Survey, for those of you who may be watching internationally, that is our United States go-to resource for earthquakes. We look at this list here, and the strongest earthquake ever recorded globally was in Chile in the year 1960 with a magnitude 9.5. The 10th strongest in 2012 in Indonesia, a magnitude 8.6. So if this magnitude holds at 8.7, that would place it about the 8th strongest earthquake of all time, which would theoretically tie one that occurred here in the United States in the state of Alaska in 1965. Here is kind of the go-to resource right now for all information related to this magnitude 8.7 earthquake, which happened just off of Russia at 23:24 UTC. What does that mean in different times around the world? Well, UTC is a time that is similar to Zulu, or if you've ever heard of GMT. GMT is a global time, but it is kind of locked to Greenwich. Well, UTC is a worldwide if everyone used the same clock. So this occurred at 7:24 p.m. Eastern time for our local audience here in the United States, in the Carolinas, where our show originates from. For the Pacific West Coast of the continental United States, states of California, Oregon, and Washington, that would have been about 4:24 Pacific time. Again, UTC time here, 23:24 UTC. Just before the start of the new day. So, where is this on the map, and why are so many different countries on alert right now? Well, you can see it's right here where the earthquake occurred just about 2 hours ago. And this is along Russia's eastern shore on the Pacific Ocean. It's very close to the United States when you consider that Alaska has this very long chain of islands that extends out. And we're going to talk about Alaska, where there's a tsunami warning right now. But we also want to let you know, of course, it is also close to the Pacific coastline for Asia. Places like Japan, who are unfortunately no strangers to tsunamis, are bracing for potential impacts from a tsunami. We're still awaiting to find out reports of damage, both from the earthquake itself at the epicenter and from any sort of potential tsunami. Although it has been 2 hours, information coming out of Russia, as you might imagine, is very limited. And tsunamis, while potentially destructive, travel relatively slowly in terms of our anticipation. So when we talk about what impacts it might have in Japan or in Alaska or in the state of Hawaii or along the Pacific coast for Canada or the United States, it's going to be several hours until we know exactly what those impacts might be. But if we look here at tsunami.gov, for our domestic audience here in the United States, again, a resource put together by NOAA, you can see where this epicenter of this earthquake did occur here again in Russian waters in the Pacific Ocean, just off Russia. But we're relatively close to some of the first Alaskan islands right here across the Bering Sea. And that's why everything in red here, I know it's a little slow to load. I'm sure this website is getting a lot of traffic right now. Everything here in the United States, starting in red, is in a tsunami warning. And what that means, it's very similar to when we talk about severe weather for our local audience here in North Carolina and South Carolina here on the Carolina Weather Group. A warning means that conditions are occurring or are likely to occur so that there will be impacts from, in this case, a tsunami. If it was a tornado or a hurricane or a severe thunderstorm warning, same idea would hold. A warning means that A, it's either occurring, or B, highly likely to occur. Whereas, and let me get this banner out of the way at the bottom of the screen so you can see the key a little bit better. The orange area means advisory. A tsunami advisory has been issued as we start to get a little bit closer to mainland Alaska. So, what is an advisory? An advisory means that a small amount of those conditions are either occurring or likely to occur. Whereas a watch, which is the yellow color all the way off to the right, means that conditions could occur. It is a common misconception that advisories and watches and what their severities are. Warning means that those conditions are occurring or likely to occur. Advisory means that some amount of those conditions are occurring. And watch means those things could happen. If you were to use a cooking analogy, a watch means we have all the ingredients in the kitchen, but no one's baked anything yet. Maybe we're making cupcakes. An advisory means we've made a small amount of cupcakes. We actually have cupcakes. A warning means we have lots of cupcakes. We've made lots of cupcakes out of the ingredients. So that's why, because of the immediacy of potential tsunami impacts, we have a tsunami warning here for all of these islands along the Bering Sea and the Pacific Ocean in the state of Alaska here in the United States, so it's closest to the epicenter in Russia. Then we have the advisory, and then third tier down from that is the watch, where things could occur later on tonight. That watch goes all along mainland Alaska, all along the Pacific coast for Canada, and all along the Pacific west coast of the continental United States, so the states of Washington, Oregon, and California. It terminates near Baja, California, and the country of Mexico. It is worth noting that the United States state of Hawaii, this collection of islands out here, now, I believe, and I'm going to refresh this because I thought just as we came on the air, they upgraded it to a warning, and sure enough, they did. We just refreshed the map. So the state of Hawaii is now under a tsunami warning because of potential impacts. And you can actually see as I mouse some of these over, 1 to 3 meters is the height of the potential tsunami that could impact Hawaii in the hours ahead. Again, the hours ahead. Let me see if I can get a similar reading if I make my way back up towards Alaska, because that was interesting the way that appeared there. If not, we'll definitely get you one here in a minute. I don't see one listed in the same form or fashion there. Again, this particular website that I'm using is from the United States government, our National Ocean and Atmospheric Association, better known as NOAA. So they're forecasting right now for the impacts of the United States. But we do know that other places like Japan, 1 to 3 meters are possible there. In Russia, nearest the epicenter, greater than 3 meters is what they are forecasting for potential impacts from this tsunami. For our United States audience, again, a meter is going to be about 3 feet. So this would be greater than 9 feet of water. So it seems like if I click on some of these little indicator dots, and I got to tell you, as a YouTuber from North Carolina and South Carolina, we don't do a whole lot of tsunami coverage here. So I'm kind of learning the ropes here with you guys on how to get exactly all of this wonderful data excerpted out of this site. All right, we'll find out exactly how high that would be because again, it's interesting as we start to click on some of these. Midway Island, maybe up to a meter or about 3 feet. Same thing as you make your way further south, Wake Island, all of these other islands that are associated one way or the other now here with the United States, Taiwan, an establishment all of its own. Again, maybe up to 1 meter or 3 feet. And so you can see as we get further away from the epicenter, we're looking at lesser amounts. Let's see if we can get one of these amounts to populate here for the west coast of the United States. If not, I have the full text of the warning and the watch, so we'll go through that here in just a moment. It acts fairly similar to the way severe weather bulletins do in fact work in the United States. So we can show you some of these anticipated arrival times in local time. I'll make this a little bit bigger on the screen for you so you guys can see them. Um, these are going to be available to you on the screen in local time. We're, of course, talking about a large number of different time zones that are going to be potentially impacted by this tsunami in the hours ahead. There is no guarantee at this point or any really confirmation at this point that a tsunami will, in fact, even make it all the way across the Pacific Ocean. But you can see here Alaska times right now on your screen. They range from 1640 Alaska time. And so that would be about 4:40 p.m. Alaska time or 8:40 Eastern time. So that would actually have been about 35 minutes ago. This list continues for different parts of Alaska. You saw how long Alaska is. That the tsunami might not arrive in some places in Alaska until closer to 9:55 Alaska time. Craig, there listed on the screen, is 21:55 if you're using 24-hour time. It's 9:55 if you're using a 12-hour clock. It's 1:55 a.m. Eastern time for our East Coast audience. So you can see that the possible tsunami could be impacting portions of Alaska now all the way through about 2 a.m. Eastern time, or about 4 hours from the present time that I'm streaming with you right now here on this Tuesday, July 29th. It is 9:17 p.m. Eastern time where I am on the East Coast of the United States. For British Columbia in Canada, about 10:05 p.m. Pacific time or 22:05 on the 24-hour clock. That would be about 1 a.m. Eastern time. State of Washington, as I continue to scroll down the list here, we're looking at times that range from 23:35 to 2 o'clock on the 24-hour clock. Super confusing if you're used to a 12-hour long clock. So that would be 1:35 p.m. Pacific time, all the way to about 12:45 a.m. Pacific time. Our local audience here in the Carolinas, if you're watching with loved ones, friends, family along the Washington state coastline, that's about 2:35 a.m. Eastern time, all the way to 3:45 a.m. Eastern time, so the middle of the night. Late night Washington, middle of the night East Coast time. California. California, if you're watching, you have possible tsunami arrival times here on your screen, 23:50 Pacific time. And that equates to 11:55 p.m. Pacific time, or just about midnight. Midnight would reset that 24-hour clock back around to zero. So that's why we're looking at 23:50. Of course, for the East Coast, that would be about 3 a.m. And it could be as late as about 1:15 24-hour clock, 1:15 Pacific time there, or about 4:15 a.m. Eastern time. So this is an event that could go on for several hours because of how far this potential tsunami wave would have to be traveling. And again, we saw that near the epicenter, the potential tsunami wave could be greater than 9 meters or greater than 9 feet. That, again, would be in the area closest to the epicenter, which, again, did occur just off the coast of Russia, the Pacific coast of Russia here, about 2 hours ago. We could still expect to see several meters or several feet of potential tsunami impacts along the Bering Sea and the string of islands for Alaska. And that's where they do have that tsunami warning in effect, because they're expecting or anticipating the worst, which could be several feet of a tsunami wave. What we did see earlier when we were looking at the current statuses for where those watches and warnings are, that the watch here in orange correlates to an area where they would anticipate seeing a smaller wave, possibly in the magnitude of less than 9 meters. Let's read it here. Let's see exactly what we could possibly anticipate a watch meaning, because we know that warning. We're going to figure this out together, folks. Lots of you watching and leaving comments right now. We do appreciate that. We should, of course, also emphasize that if you are in any of these areas where a warning, a tsunami warning, has been issued, you're going to want to head to higher ground. Our audience is going to be pretty familiar with the concept of sheltering from tornadoes here where we live in the United States. But that's wind. We shelter from wind. We run from water. So if you're living someplace right now where we have a tsunami warning, you're going to want to head to higher ground. Again, that does not mean that the entire west coast of the United States needs to be heading to higher ground, because this is something that's going to be happening hours from now. But you might want to think about if you live along the water, if you have resources along the water. Like, here is a live camera from WeatherStem. This is in the state of Washington. And so, you can see that this particular town, this harbor here, looks like Roche Harbor. There are boats and things. So if you're out on the water, you may want to head back to shore. You might want to go ahead till you have a couple hours here on the West Coast to get yourself to higher ground in the event that any sort of tsunami were to occur. We're still working to get information from this region to confirm for us whether or not any of the impacts from a potential tsunami are occurring or not. As you might imagine, some of these areas are fairly remote. And so we're still working to learn exactly what might or might not be occurring. Now, there is something on the USGS website that I want to show too, and it gives an indication of magnitude. It's too early for us to know, again, what the potential impact from this earthquake is in terms of loss of life or injuries or property damage. But this statistically does help us understand the magnitude of what a magnitude 8.7 earthquake would potentially do. And so it does rank relatively high. In terms of economic losses, it's actually estimating economically that it could be between 10 million and 100 million, or 10 a lot. That is in US dollars and millions. I don't know how accurate an estimated fatality count is, other than, again, to kind of drive home the point that if this magnitude of an 8.7 holds, it's going to make it probably about the 8th strongest earthquake on record. We have seen the magnitude be advised once already. It initially came out as a magnitude 8, which is large in of it itself, and then it was upgraded to an 8.7. And so it's possible that that number could be adjusted. It's also possible, as is traditionally seen with earthquakes, that there could be aftershocks associated with this over the course of the coming hours and days. And so we will... this is a situation that will continue to need to be heated and monitored. And so, because it's going to be happening so late at night for so much of the population that lives across the Canadian and the United States West Coast, as well as the state of Hawaii and Alaska here, it's really important to have some way to be informed of emergency situations. So NOAA weather radios, AM and FM radio, broadcast media, that would be a pretty fabulous and important way, especially as you grow into the later evening hours, to know exactly what's going on. So here's one of the latest bulletins that have come out from the Tsunami Warning Center, this one in Honolulu. And so we'll just read it together. So the tsunami forecast is updated in this message, and you can see that it came out just a few minutes ago for a magnitude 8.7 magnitude earthquake, again, just off the coast of Russia. An earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 8.7 occurred off the coast of Russia at 23:25 UTC on Tuesday, July 29th. A tsunami wave has been observed. So I know so far I've been talking about really waiting to know whether or not a tsunami is or is not occurring. Sometimes they're visually seen, sometimes they're seen with buoys. Based on all available data, hazardous tsunami waves are forecast for some coasts. Tsunami waves reaching more than 3 meters above the tide level are possible for some coasts of Ecuador and Russia. Tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters above the tide level are possible along Chile, Hawaii, Japan, northwestern Hawaiian Islands, and the Solomon Islands. And tsunami waves reaching between zero point 0.3 and 1 meters above the tide are possible, and you can see them on your screen here. It's rather a long list, but you can see it's some of the American islands, America Samoa amongst them. We see Guam on there. I'm scanning them here, Midway Island. You can also see some larger countries on continents such as here in North America, Mexico is listed on this particular list. We talked a little earlier about Taiwan is on this portion of the list. So this portion of the list right here are all the areas where we can anticipate seeing 0.3 and 1 meters, or for our United States audience, that is up to 3 feet. We also are expecting a small tsunami wave less than a third of a meter for some of these other faraway places, so lesser impacts there. But again, some of the greatest impacts that we could anticipate seeing is from the tsunami wave reaching more than 3 meters or more than 9 feet in portions of Ecuador and Russia. Certainly Russia. I'm honestly a little confused why Ecuador is on this list, and maybe somebody in chat can explain it to me, because Ecuador is all the way down in South America, further than some of these other locations where I've already read off that we're going to see lesser impacts, unless, and I'm just guessing, do they have territorial rights to an island out here someplace in the Pacific that would thus be part of their country? Certainly, that is throwing me off. But Russia, again, a tsunami wave of more than 3 meters, tsunami wave between 1 and 3 meters. So that would be 3 feet or 9 feet in, again, here's Chile, Hawaii, Japan, northwestern Hawaii, and Solomon Islands. Again, Chile being a South American country that is pretty significantly far away from the epicenter. So do they too have islands out there that thus would make part of their country? I'm opening up chat here. Maybe you guys can explain that to me, because I honestly do not understand or know why these two countries are here. Tsunami waves reaching between 0.3 and 1 meters. So that would be about a foot to 3 feet for a long list here of different areas located along coastlines with the Pacific Ocean. Actual amplitudes at the coast may vary from forecast amplitudes due to uncertainties in the forecast and local features. In particular, maximum tsunami amplitudes on fringing and barrier reefs and likely might be smaller than forecast. Do note that they also talked about these are the tsunami wave is above the forecast tide. And this is something we do deal with here, the East Coast of the United States, at our home turf of North Carolina and South Carolina. When we're forecasting impacts of flooding or storm surge, it's always above tide. So if as your tide goes up and down, the tsunami is on top of that. So if the tsunami were to occur at high tide, that would have a greater impact than if it occurred at low tide. Okay, I do see that one of you guys in chat is telling me we have had an aftershock, and you are absolutely correct. I can show it right here on the screen. So we do have what looks to be an aftershock of about 6.9, or as you put it, about a 7. Occurred about 44 minutes ago. Let me refresh that, see if this page is get the latest time frames here. About 31 minutes ago, we also had a magnitude 6.3. 45 minutes ago, we had that 7 you were just talking about. And I think these are duplications of the initial one, which again came in as an 8, and then we're upgraded to an 8.7. So yes, thank you for that clarification. You are correct. And I do want to emphasize this note right here. Check with your local news, Alaska. Absolutely. I am not here to replace your local news. If you are in any of these areas impacted, there are great journalists, scientists, meteorologists in Alaska, in Hawaii. I know Japan, NHK World was doing coverage. Yes, please. I am not going to be able to get down to a county or a city or a street level. You're certainly going to want to check with them. We are just here right now trying to understand a little bit of what is occurring following this significantly large earthquake that did occur at a depth of about 46 miles off the coast of Russia, magnitude 8.7 being the primary quake. As you guys have pointed out, and you are absolutely correct, we have seen some aftershocks associated with that. Now, this was such a strong earthquake that it was felt here where I am in the Carolinas on the east coast of the United States. By felt, I mean observed. I don't literally mean felt. Like, I didn't feel it in the same way that somebody closer to this earthquake would feel it, or not even in the same way that I would feel an earthquake if an earthquake occurred here locally. But as Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich at WCNC Charlotte posted on X, this Russian magnitude 8.0 earthquake, 8.7 now, was detected here in the Carolinas through its detection of the P waves. So they're the fastest to arrive, and they travel through the entire Earth's crust. We don't feel them, he writes, but they are detected by seismographs locally. So this was taken in Taylorsville, North Carolina, on the east coast of the United States. And you can see there that blue line. That's how sensitive these are. That's how long and far these P waves travel. There are different types of waves associated with an earthquake. These are not the type, again, these are not the type, as Brad says, that you feel, but they are, in fact, something that can be detected thousands of miles away from this quake. I'm going to peruse here to see what additional information I might be able to provide for you tonight, as we are still working to learn the exact impacts of this earthquake. NHK World Japan, I would equate it somewhat similarly to like a PBS here in the United States. They do stream coverage online too, if you have interest in the country of Japan. Tsunami wave of up to 3 meters has been, a tsunami warning for possible tsunami of up to 3 meters has been issued along Japan's Pacific coast, coming after this intense earthquake, they write. Just checking some of their reporting here, because I'm still trying to learn and decipher exactly what we know might be happening, because it's not surprising to me that, as we've read in some of these bulletins, that the tsunami wave has been observed. And by observed, again, I think they mean by buoys and the like, because what I'm not seeing, and this is probably the same thing you're wondering at home, is I'm not seeing right now images of destruction. I'm not seeing images of a tsunami wave. Doesn't mean that those things are not going to occur. It just means that they're not happening, or they're not been seen right now. Some of which is because here where I live in the United States, so much of our impact will come in the hours ahead. Not to discount some of these areas, some of these Alaskan islands that are closest to the epicenter, not to discount that at all. But when I start thinking about more urban centers, more areas with access to TV cameras, that it just simply hasn't arrived here yet, if it's going to arrive and hold together at all. Because we know that nearest the epicenter, we could see up to 3 meters or 9-foot tsunami wave, and that will lessen as it starts to get a little bit closer. So that's why, even as I look at TV websites in the state of Alaska right now, a lot of them still say forecasted potential tsunami arrival times, because it's hard to know exactly how long that tsunami might even hold together. But we need to treat it like it's something that is occurring or likely to occur, because that is what would save potential lives, by making sure that people know that they need to move to higher ground in some of these areas that are under a tsunami warning. So once again, let me refresh tsunami.gov for you if you have interest here in any of the United States or territories impacted here on the Pacific Ocean side of things. I'm attempting to refresh the website. There it goes. As you might imagine, there's quite a lot of people on here. And so there has been a change. Now at about 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, what I am now seeing from tsunami.gov is, while we still have the same tsunami warning, and we still have the same tsunami advisory here for Alaska, what I'm starting to see, and this would be new if this is populating correctly, is that the west coast of the United States has been upgraded from a watch to an advisory. And yes, going from a watch to an advisory in weather terms is an upgrade. Because if you were with me earlier in the stream, you'll remember that whether we're talking about tsunamis or we're talking about any form of weather, the way that NOAA, the agency here in the United States, issues these 3 tiers is a watch means that we have ingredients to put together. Like we have ingredients in the kitchen to make cupcakes, but we haven't put them together yet. An advisory means we've started to make, maybe we've made the first batch of cupcakes. We have a small quantity of cupcakes. And a warning means we've created a large quantity of cupcakes. So what I'm seeing here, and this would be different from when we started the stream just half an hour ago, is that the United States Pacific coast here in the states of California, Oregon, Washington, even into Pacific coast of Canada, I'm now seeing that listed as an advisory. I don't know why this area in Alaska, this kind of like Big Bend area in Alaska, is not filling in for me. I assume that's just some sort of data problem. But let's go to weather.gov, the local National Weather Service offices, and let's just check here. Yeah, so again, we're also seeing a tsunami advisory now. So this is kind of confirming what I was seeing on the big tsunami website. We're zeroing in now with the local offices. So, like for example, here in the state of Washington, here is the information that is available to that audience, that local community, about the tsunami advisory, which includes California, Oregon, Washington State, British Columbia, all the way down to the California-Mexico border, and all the way up to the British Columbia and Alaska border. If you are located in a coastal area, move off the beach, out of harbors and marinas. Tsunami advisory means that a tsunami capable of producing strong currents or waves dangerous to persons in or very near to the water, is expected or already occurring. Areas of the advisory should not expect widespread inundation, because again, an advisory is just a smaller amount. So this is further away from the epicenter. Near the epicenter, we have a tsunami warning. Further away, we have an advisory. Tsunamis are a series of waves dangerous many hours after the initial arrival. The first wave may not be the largest. And again, you can see these are 12-hour clock times, local to Pacific. So you can see British Columbia about 10 o'clock local time. All the way through what we got. We got British Columbia. We got the state of Washington. We have California here about midnight. So that'll be about 3 a.m. Eastern time for my home audience here at the Carolina Weather Group. You can see, again, just that range of times on your screen here. We know if you live in some of these areas, there is some great local TV coverage that is occurring right now from your local broadcasters who know the nooks and crannies of your environment. And I do highly encourage you to check in with them. Let's check in with the state of Hawaii, where they have a tsunami warning. So a tsunami warning means that we have a larger quantity of something, a larger amount of something, in this case, a tsunami, and it could be occurring now or is likely to occur soon. That is something that would get the designation of a warning. So a tsunami warning has been issued for the entire state of Hawaii, and it went into effect at 2:43 Hawaii time. The earthquake, which occurred, as you have heard, was an 8.7 magnitude off the coast of Russia. Here's the evaluation. I'm just going to read to you the tsunami warning that has been issued for the state of Hawaii. A tsunami has been generated that could cause damage along the coastlines of all islands in the state of Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii has multiple islands. Urgent action should be taken to protect lives and property. A tsunami is a series of long ocean waves. Each individual wave crest can last between 5 and 15 minutes or more, and extensively flood coastal areas. The danger can continue for many hours after the initial wave. As subsequent waves arrive, tsunami wave heights cannot be predicted, and the first wave may not be the largest tsunami wave efficiently wrapped around the islands. All shores are at a risk, no matter which direction they face. That is a really good point. We have not talked about that yet. The trough of a tsunami wave may temporarily expose the sea floor, but the area will quickly flood again. You may remember this from some big tsunamis we've had in years past. The water goes out first and then comes back in. Just like with regular waves. Waves go out, waves come in. If you are on a beach in one of these tsunami warned areas and the water goes out, you want to go away from the water. Extremely strong and unusual nearshore currents can accompanying a tsunami. Debris picked up and carried by a tsunami amplifies its destructive power. Simultaneous high tides or high surf can significantly increase the tsunami hazard. The estimated arrival time in Hawaii of the first wave is 7:17 p.m. Hawaii time. The current time in Hawaii right now is 3:40. Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're talking somewhere between 3 and 4 hours from now. That is plenty of time to get off the beach, away from the coast, and to a higher elevation. I'm starting to see now some of the first TV pictures coming in from Hawaii, pretty clearly Hawaii. Starting to get some of the first TV pictures from the state of Washington. Again, these are all areas where everything looks normal because the tsunami wave is hours away. But now is the time to move to higher grounds. It's not a spectacle. I'm looking at right now KHON, and we can see police on the beach in Hawaii. I don't have the rights to bring you this exact image, but I'm just going to describe to you what I'm seeing. We see a police truck on the beach here in Hawaii, and there's a police officer waving his arms trying to get everyone off the beach. Again, it's what did I say it was? 3:40. It's 3:40 p.m. in Hawaii. This tsunami wave, the first one, is not anticipated for 3 or 4 more hours. People probably, if they know about it, thinking they have plenty of time, or they may not even know about it. When you go to the beach, you don't always take your phone with you. So we can see local officials here in the state of Hawaii getting people out of the water into higher ground. Let's read another bulletin because these have a lot of really good information to them. Let's go up to the state of Alaska, starting first nearest to where the quake occurred, because Alaska stretches real close to the epicenter in Russia where this occurred. So the tsunami warning here remains in effect for coastal areas of Alaska. Move to higher ground. Tsunami warning means that significant inundation is possible. So again, with a warning, with something with high quantities or high risk, we do have a risk of significant inundation. At 4:24 Pacific Daylight Time on July 29th, an earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 8.7 occurred. Okay, so again, we have some times here. 4:40 Alaska time, and I'm going to mess these up, and I apologize. Shima, Alaska, Attic or Adik, 5:40 Alaska time, St. Paul, 6:55. There's going to be a whole bunch of versions of these warnings all across the area. So again, if you have local friends or family in the area, you're trying to learn more, and I'm not going fast enough for you, or I'm not clicking on the right location for you, tsunami.gov, weather.gov are areas where you'll be able to learn and kind of click through yourself. It's exactly what I'm doing right now on the stream with you. Let's see if we have other times here. Those are the same times. Maybe if we come into other portions. Tsunami advisory. So the tsunami advisory means that we are going to get a tsunami just of a lesser magnitude where we have the warning. So this, again, is still for the state of Alaska. On Alaska, it's 6:45 p.m. Alaska time. Sand Point, 7:25. Cold Bay, 8 o'clock. These are local Alaska times. The time in Alaska right now, for point of reference, is 5:45. So on Alaska has about an hour. Got about an hour there. And some of the areas closest to the epicenter in Alaska are already going to be seeing impacts from it. I still don't understand what has or has not become of the tsunami bulletins that kind of went around the Big Bend here, around the Gulf of Alaska. They're just not there right now. I don't know if they were canceled intentionally. If you know, then you may have information. My lack of information would mean that if I lived in these areas, I'd still be trying to plan, because I'm a little confused. Like Kodiak and Homer, all along the Gulf of Alaska. You guys had at least a watch earlier, and now you have nothing. And I don't fully understand why, but that does seem to match the present information that I'm getting from tsunami.gov. So either it's an error or someone's done some fast math and figured out that the tsunami is not going to impact up and to the left, to the north. I don't know. I don't know is the answer. So if you're there, check with local media. I don't want to give you an all clear because I'm confused. But we do know, once again, we have here in the United States tsunami warning for inundation of 9 meters or excuse me, 9 feet or more, 3 meters. Here, the greatest kind of exterior islands off of Alaska nearest Russia. We also have a tsunami warning for all of the islands of the state of Hawaii. And we have a tsunami advisory for some more of the islands here along Alaska and for the British Columbia coast in Western Canada, and also for all of continental United States, states of Washington, Oregon, and California. The bulletins kind of end there. So if you're watching with interest in Mexico, we don't currently have anything to forewarn you about. We do also have warnings, alerts of the equivalent magnitude in Asia. I am looking here at data that is from the United States government and its partners, such as in Canada and in some of these islands that are scattered across the Pacific. So again, if you're with interest right now in, say, Japan, I suggest you check out NHK World. They're a local broadcaster there. Certainly the same could be said for all regions of the Asian coast here along the Pacific Ocean, if you're looking for some additional information there. Michael's asking me, how serious is it in Honolulu? So, Michael, Honolulu is not going to see anything for a couple hours. Best case scenario, nothing happens. But the people who know better than me have issued a tsunami warning for Honolulu and the entire state of Hawaii. The tsunami would have to travel across a very large section of the Pacific Ocean before it got to Hawaii. So it's several hours from now before I could actually even begin to report to you any impacts that are happening in Honolulu. But the advice of the scientists and the local officials, both in what I'm reading and what I'm seeing on TV, is that if you were along the waters in Honolulu or anywhere in the state of Hawaii, leave the beach and get to higher ground. To be clear, they're not evacuating the entire state of Hawaii. They are moving people off the beaches to higher ground. That is the action item that is taking place right now in the state of Hawaii. And that would be similar to any of the low-lying areas along coastal Alaska, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, California, etc. Odie has it here, Michael, for you. 3 to 9 foot waves arriving in about 4-ish hours from present time. As I'm talking to you right now, in case anybody's rewatching this later, it is 9:50 p.m. Eastern time where I am. Just to give you some context of what time it is. For anybody that uses UTC, it's about 1:50 a.m. UTC. We're coming up on 2 o'clock UTC. And the time in Hawaii right now is 3:50 p.m. Hawaii time. I know people rewatch things on YouTube, and they sometimes do it unintentionally. Dylan, how about San Francisco? So that's a great question, Dylan. So San Francisco right now would fall under the coverage of the tsunami advisory. So the tsunami advisory. So again, officials along the west coast of the United States have put San Francisco into the tsunami advisory category. In the tsunami advisory category, let's see if do we have a time for San Francisco. I don't see a specific time for San Francisco, but more or less we're talking at the earliest about midnight time, Pacific time, and as late as 1 o'clock ish. Again, we're talking lesser amounts, about 1 meter, maybe 3 feet. So again, that just means that if you are on the beach in a structure really close to the beach, you're going to want to just move to higher ground. Great question, Flying Pig, about Japan. Japan is an area, unfortunately, no stranger to earthquakes and tsunamis, and they're relatively close to the epicenter here. I am not intimately familiar with Japan, but I'm going to get you to the people who are. So do a quick Google and look up NHK World News, and this will take you to this local broadcaster. They have a live stream available here on YouTube and on their website where you can watch coverage from Japan, but they are anticipating a tsunami up to 3 meters or 9 feet across a good portion of Japan. You can see it outlined there in red. So again, they're taking this very seriously there. I did see a question come in a few minutes ago about the impacts being felt in Russia. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't seen any reports come out of Russia. I could be looking in the wrong places, or they're just not making it to the global scale. Being what we know about Russian media, I am concerned that there are things we're not seeing. That is to say, and sometimes I'd be like, hey, no news is good news. I don't know that this is that type of scenario. This is more of silence from what I'm seeing. And I'm watching several news channels right now, and I have not seen pictures out of Russia. So that obviously, I would say, is concerning to me, that we have not seen or heard yet what the impacts of this might be in eastern portions of Russia along the Pacific Ocean. That is not to put fear into anyone. It is just simply to give you the answer of, I don't know. If this was a different place in the world, a more, an urban center with lots of TV cameras, or a place with a different taste for media, it might be a different scenario. It is also relatively early, and I know that sounds crazy in the world of the internet, but it has only been now about 2 hours, and so as fast as news travels around the world, it's still early to be getting news from the other side of the world. Do we believe this was actually an earthquake? I will tell you, I had not considered it anything other than an earthquake until I read your comment. I believe it to be an earthquake. Based on the information that I'm seeing disseminated, it is being treated as an earthquake. And I'm going to assume it's an earthquake until somebody tells me otherwise. But, it is acting like an earthquake. And it is being picked up by all the usual earthquake detectors. So. Oh, okay. So Jack says that Southeast Alaska. Jack, if you're still with me on stream, I guess this refers to the Gulf of Alaska area that I was trying to figure out. Is your understanding that they've maybe canceled that area? And Nick says the same thing, that National Weather Service Anchorage has stated on Twitter that the tsunami watch has been canceled. So again, this is just for the Gulf of Alaska area. Just to give people an understanding, if you weren't with me on stream a few minutes ago, I was confused as to why some portions of Alaska have a tsunami warning and a tsunami watch. And then you can see again, British Columbia and in the west coast of the United States. But then there was this big area in the middle that wasn't filled in. And that was confusing me because I wasn't sure if it was an error or intentional. But you guys are telling me that the National Weather Service Anchorage office has, in fact, posted as of 15 minutes ago, right? So we have the warning for these islands. We've talked about that is still current. That tsunami warning does continue. We have the tsunami advisory for these islands. That does continue. But they have in fact confirmed that the tsunami watch. I can see Homer there. Homer was one of the locations I was trying to figure out along the Gulf of Alaska. That has been canceled. Anchorage itself was never in the watch. It's too far inland, I think. So thank you guys for helping me confirm that information. That is really, really good to know, as that was confusing me, and I appreciate you guys helping me decipher that. Again, if there's an area that you're interested in and I haven't talked about it, and you're watching with interest in the United States, tsunami.gov, weather.gov, and earthquake.usgs.gov are places that you can go and get a lot of information about what has occurred, and also will have updates. So when I talk about earthquake.us.gov, we can see, again, we've had 2 aftershocks, 6.9, 6.3. And the primary earthquake, am I reading this right, guys? Is it now an 8.8? When I started this stream, it was an 8.7. When it first happened, it was an 8. Now I think it's an 8.8. I'm going to update the text at the bottom of our screen. And this is fairly normal that the data changes. We don't want it to go up. It was already bad. And so from the USGS website here, we can see, again, where people have reported feeling this. It was just offshore of Russia. I've been showing you the interactive map. Now, if this was the United States, this map would be full of people telling us how strongly they felt it. But we're just not getting that level of data from the USGS in a Russian-based earthquake right now. Landslide estimates significant. It says limited population exposed. I don't know the population of this in this area of Russia. But this is the type of map you can see here from the USGS. This is what you get from tsunami.gov. Weather.gov allows you to type in a location and, again, see. So now if we're up to an 8.8, if that holds, that would make it about the 7th or even the 6th largest, strongest earthquake on record globally. The strongest being in 1960 at magnitude 9.5 in Chile. 8.8 would match the Chile earthquake of 2010 and the Ecuadorian earthquake of 1906. According to this list compiled once again by the USGS, the United States Geological Survey. This is going to be a situation that is going to stretch for several more hours. Scientists will be using a whole network of buoys scattered across the Pacific Ocean. It's actually called DART, if I'm not mistaken. The Deep Ocean Assessment and Reporting of Tsunamis. And I believe this map I've just pulled up shows the buoy locations and as you can see, there's no text with this image. Is that current? Does red mean? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the colors mean. There's no color skill here, but I don't know why we'd have red buoys far away and close. So that might just be classifications of buoys. I honestly don't know. But DART, the Deep Ocean Assessment and Reporting of Tsunamis Network from NOAA, does have buoys, as you can see in all those locations. it certainly might look like a lot, and I'm going to also guess it's not as many as we would want, because what I do recall from previous tsunamis is anytime you're trying to time out a tsunami, you have to time it based on how fast it traveled between two locations. And so when you think about like where Hawaii is, my mouse cursor is not currently showing up, but it's that yellow icon in the middle of the Pacific. There's only two-ish rows of buoys between Hawaii and the epicenter, right? So you're going to time it from the epicenter to the first buoy, then to the next buoy, and you're going to see how long it took for that tsunami wave to travel between those buoys. And that will help them estimate the time every time it hits one of those checkpoints, because it's not like we have a satellite trained on the tsunami and we're able to track it in real time. That is just simply not what's happening. They're just watching these buoy data. But there's not a whole lot of rows of buoys. Like, yeah, they go all along the coast, and that's super helpful. But between the epicenter and Hawaii, there's only two rows of buoys. So the data is limited, and that might impact the exact timing estimates for this earthquake. I am poking around this website right now, trying to see if there's a way to actually view any of these buoy data live. I'll check comments in case one of you guys is screaming at me. Some questions about Guam. So I'm pausing what I'm doing right now because I think several of you guys have asked about Guam, a United States territory and island out there. They have a tsunami advisory in Guam. So they're expecting maybe up to a meter or 3 feet. These are the times where the wave might reach Guam. I apologize. I am not intimately familiar with all of these different areas, but you can see Guam down here at the bottom of the list. And so the ETA, the estimated time of arrival in CHST time, local time, is going to be right here on the screen for you. Okay. And let me just show you guys how I got that, because I'm going to be wrapping up my stream here in the next few minutes. And so if there's an area and it's a United States territory or state, and you want to learn what the status is, you can go to weather.gov. It's the place we go to see weather forecasts here in the United States, weather.gov, and you can type in Guam. Okay. And then here are all the results with different things that are related to Guam or have Guam in the name. And the first one is what we're looking for. And then right when you get here, it's right here at the top in red. You know, if you start seeing current weather conditions and the forecast and all that far, you've gone too far. Go back up. It's going to be right here at the top in red. It's going to say tsunami advisory. It might say tsunami watch. It might say tsunami warning. If you click on that, you're going to get this text, and you're going to be like, oh, so much reading. It's okay. Just read through it. It will explain it for you. It is sometimes a lot of reading. What you can see, a lot of these locations all have these little charts that I've been showing you, and that's where I've been getting these times from. So if there's an area you're interested in, check with your local media. Go to weather.gov. You can go to tsunami.gov if you're living in a place that is a United States territory or state. That is kind of where my expertise kind of ends. Some questions here about Vancouver Island. We have seen some information from NOAA, which works in cooperation with the Canadian authorities, that we do have a tsunami advisory where we are anticipating a possible tsunami in the hours ahead that could be about 3 meters. 1 meter or 3 feet. 1 meter, 3 feet there for Vancouver. Again, check with your local media, check with your local authorities, weather.gov, tsunami.gov, usgs.gov. I want to empower you guys too, because I unfortunately am going to begin to wrap up my stream here, and I know this is going to go on for some time. For example, Richard McBride on YouTube, Hawaii News, Honolulu News, is saying about 7:13 p.m. arrival time for the outer islands. Yes, we saw the same thing, Richard, when we checked here on weather.gov. But Richard's point is super valid, because the current time in Hawaii is about 4 o'clock. So we still have 3 more hours before the first wave potentially arrives. For us here on the eastern coast of the United States, that'll be in the middle of the night. It'll luckily still be daylight hours there in Hawaii. so they'll be able to kind of get a good grasp on things. But again, you can see just how long some of this is going to take. Yeah, Richard, I can see you're still with us, so thanks so much. Honolulu, about 1 to 3 meters. Meter being about 3 feet. So we start getting into all sorts of number conversions here between time zones and depths. And so quite a lot going on. A little bit of a scary situation. How many waves are there? We don't know. We do know in that reading the bulletins, just based on historical information about tsunamis, the first wave is not always the biggest. There could be multiple waves, but right now we're just timing out the arrival of the first waves to hit areas. And so that would at least tell you when the first impacts are expected to be felt. Yeah, there's some good information out there. Make sure, as I begin to sign off here, make sure that wherever you go next is a trusted source. So a local television station here in the United States, they might be affiliated with names that are like NBC, ABC, Fox, CBS. Look, if any of those give you like political agita, politics has nothing to do with this, right? So if you're vacationing someplace or you're looking for some more information, you can go check with those local resources, and they will have a team of people who know the area and will be able to walk you through this. Weather.gov, tsunami.gov will help as well too. If again you're looking for information from United States territory or state. And then if you're in one of these areas, just stay informed. Broadcast media, NOAA Weather Radio. We talk about these here on the Carolina Weather Group all the time, but these things, we most frequently use them for our local audience here in North Carolina and South Carolina for things like severe thunderstorms or for tornadoes. They do have the ability to bring you information about tsunami warnings, watches, and advisories. It's one of the settings that I often ignore. Because I live hundreds of miles from a coast, but they do, in fact, here in the United States, do use NOAA weather radios to disseminate information about tsunamis. My name is James Brierton, coming to you tonight from Charlotte, North Carolina. Carolina Weather Group is a weekly show talking about weather science and technologies, typically in the areas of North Carolina and South Carolina, but we know that a big scientific story of a global magnitude is playing out here tonight that has the potential to carry with it a lot of impacts. It's not something for our local audience here in North Carolina or South Carolina that we're going to feel or have any actual physical impacts from, other than this is now one of the biggest earthquakes ever to occur. Easily in the top 10, starting to push into the top 5. And so that is why we came on the stream here tonight to help you understand a little bit about what is playing out across the globe for our neighbors in the Pacific region, because we know it can be a little scary and a little hard sometimes to find information about situations that may be ongoing, such as this one. So we've mentioned a couple places that you can go and you can look up information for yourself. We know that there's like a Hawaii News Now, there's an Alaska News Now, and those resources as well too are some local broadcast information that will be available. So I'm going to leave it here for now. I hope everyone stays safe out there, and as many of us here in the East Coast are winding down our Tuesday night, it's on Wednesday morning that we'll probably wake up to learn exactly what the impacts were for our global and domestic neighbors. I think I could not say it any better when we talk about prayers here for Russia and for us or the United States, either way you want to read that. Because this is something that is possibly going to be felt over a very large area after a magnitude of what I believe now to be an 8.8 magnitude earthquake here off the coast of Russia. I'm James Brierton in Alaska. I'm James Broward in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm staring at Alaska on a map. And so again, Chu, as we wind down here, find a local resource you trust. Don't let politics, don't let conspiracy theories, don't let misinformation get wrapped up in this. Go find a broadcast media, go find a National Weather Service, USGS, or whatever the equivalent might be in your local country. I'm going to go watch some NHK World while I wait to hear news out of Alaska, Hawaii, and then eventually over the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific coast here in continental United States. I'll talk to you again real soon. We're back on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time with a new episode of our podcast.